Hello, you beautiful recruiters. This is Headhunters Live. Today is Thursday, April 18th. It is a beautiful day in sunny Florida. And today we're going to be talking about or interviewing the founder of Salesstream.ai, Marat Galperin. But before we do that, you guys may notice that we have a certain somebody that is MIA, missing in action. And that would be the best looking man in the biz, Chris Wessel. And Neil, I don't know about how you feel about this, but personally, I think we're much better looking today. What do you think? Is it
It's
the
all
lighting?
relative. It's all. I was thinking the same thing. It's nice to be the best looking guy on the show for a change. What were you feeling?
The exact same thing. It's nice to be the best looking man on the show for a change. The exact thing, man. Great minds think alike. That's it, guys. We're going to bring on our guests here momentarily, but I do want to ask you, Neil, for those who happen to watch the show last week with the one and only Staffing Shark. By the way, if you haven't seen it, it was a great show. That guy has so much flippant energy. But Neil, you showed up with a busted up shoulder because you got into a bike accident. How you
A
feeling now?
car hit me. So thank you for asking. I'm finally getting motion with only just slight pain. So it's not broken. I've had X-rays since the show. Broke my finger, but I'm trying when I type not to do it. It's just my pinky finger back here. And thank you for asking. On with the show. This is it. I almost don't remember last week because I was on painkillers the night before. I wasn't on any during the show, but the whole week was a fog. I felt like I was hit by a car.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's
That's
why the show was so good last week. You were just in a daze. You were just in the zone. Who knows? Um, well. That said, let's dive in here in just a few minutes. I want to bring Marat on because we started just a couple minutes late. But before I do so, guys, please, if you're watching this, do me a favor, comment live in the comments below. Let us know that you are watching live. If you're watching the replay, comment replay. Make sure you like it. Make sure you love it. Make sure you share the show with your friends, your colleagues, your grandma, your ex-wife, whoever you think might get value out of it. Please share. If everybody shared the show, we'd be huge. Now, before we bring Marat on, I do want to mention a couple of things. Let's talk about our sponsors. So in full disclosure, these are our companies as well, but we sponsor them not just because they're ours, because they're actually really good companies and do really great things. And first off, let's talk about BOSS, which is, in my opinion, one of the best acronyms for a company ever. Back Office Staffing Solutions, or you can go to their website, Back Office Now. So, if you are in the feast and famine roller coaster, direct hire place 1 month, and then you blank the next month. You need to get some contracting, staff augmentation in your life to have some consistency. And when things get slow, companies typically spend more on staff augmentation and temp staffing anyway. But from personal experience, that stuff has teeth. The contracts, the insurance, having to figure out payroll, all those things. It's a hassle. So if you want a one-stop shop where you can go and just plug yourself in, they got the insurance, they got the funding, they've got really amazing app where you can actually brand it to your company. Your clients can log in, your candidates can log in and do their whole payroll time thing to make it seem as if you're a bigger company than you actually are. Then go check out backofficenow.com. And by the way, is that app is coming out like in a week, right? 2 weeks?
The app's in beta testing, final beta right now, and with some partners. And honestly, everyone out there that uses a back office, you've got to check out this app. It's not a portal. It's going to blow you away how beautiful it is. We spent 7 figures on it, and everyone needs to see it. So definitely check out the website. Ask for a demo. It's not live yet. We'll show you the demo. It's ready to go. So check it out. And a lot of great things in store. A lot of great things coming out after our MVP, as we call it, the first level product that we're going to showcase. So it's imminent. Check it out.
And funny enough, Neil asked me to be part of that beta, and I'm like, dude, let me know when you're doing an alpha test. I'm too manly for beta tests. That's just me. I don't
You
know.
are,
Maybe I don't
David.
understand this stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's good. Yeah.
And one more here as well, and this would be for my company. So many of y'all may know I'm the brains behind the Digital Headhunter, and we help search firm owners, independent recruiters, staffing companies, deploy sales and marketing systems. Right now, getting clients is tough. If you're in either of our groups, I see comments all the time from other recruiters saying how hard it is to get clients. If you want a one-stop solution where we actually completely set you up with our sales and marketing system that we've done with over 450 firms, we can do it in 30 days we have a 90-day ROI guarantee. Go to thedigitalheadhunter.com/build. That's first promo. And secondly, if you want something a little bit on the cheaper level, we just did a sales bootcamp last week. The sales page is still live. If you want to buy the recordings, get lifetime access, go to thedigitalheadhunter.com/bootcamp. All my latest techniques, templates, sequences are all in there. Go check it out.
Dirt cheap. It's dirt cheap also. It's like,
it's a no-brainer. $197 to get all the recordings. When I actually go back to selling, normally when I sell the sales bootcamp recordings, I do a bootcamp maybe every year and a half. I usually sell them for about $500. So if you want to get in right now, you can still get the recordings for $200, and it's a ridiculously low price.
All right, so now you just said 200, but you played that same bullshit marketing game of 197. You just lost $3 per person because they're not going to buy it for 200, but I'm going to fool them for 197 because they're idiots. All right, David, you just lost $3 for every sale.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a Starbucks cup of coffee.
Human psychology is a thing. What are you going to do?
I know, no joke. It does work. It does work, and I price accordingly.
Well, let's do this. Normally I would we'd pitch Chris Walsh, but you know what? He's not here. We got to get to our guest. Let's get right into it. All right. Let's bring on.
No one focuses on his pitch. No one focuses on his pitch because they're staring at his beautiful hair and his gorgeous blue eyes, and whatever he says, people aren't listening to. That's my take on it. It's too beautiful.
He is good. Well, that's why everybody pays attention to what you say, Neil. But on that note,
ouch. Ouch. Wow.
It was too easy. All right. Let's bring on the man of the hour. Put him right in the middle. Marat. What is up, Marat? Welcome.
Hey, guys. Pleasure to be here. I just want to say that, all this talk about your good-looking co-host, I hope I don't bring the level down, or maybe just add to it a little bit with my own good looks. So I just putting it out there, but we'll see how that goes.
You know who you look like. Neil, back me up on this, or if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Jake Gyllenhaal. Am I pronouncing it right? Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have heard that before, but what has it done for me? Not much.
No, he's a good looking. He's a good looking guy. I got to admit.
I'll take it.
I will say, back when I was thinner, before the beard, I used to get Steve Carell a lot. From The Office, Steve Carell. But back when I was about 50 pounds thinner, no beard, I got Steve Carell often. So
I can see that.
I get Jeff Goldblum, Howie Mandel if I'm bald, and once in a while, Robert Downey Jr. And I'll take that one.
Oh, you take that all day, Iron Man. That's excellent. Well, Matt, let's dive in. So a lot of the folks here, watching this, they don't know who you guys are and about you yet. But one thing they are interested in is getting in front of the prospects and candidates that they want to work with, right? So that's, and I know you can speak to that. But before we get to that, let's fill in our audience on who you are. So, who are you? What do you do? Tell us about Salesstream, and the floor is yours, my man.
Sure. So it's Marat Galperin. I'm a lifelong software developer. For the last, I'd say, 10 years, I've been involved primarily on the CRM side and the fundraising world, specifically nonprofits. Mm-hmm. But the entrepreneurial bug has bit me, and about 10 months ago, I became a co-founder in Salesstream.ai, and I'm pretty excited to share what we got going on.
Excellent. Well, so that said, let's talk about that Salesstream.ai. What does that do? I know it's a prospecting tool, right? Mm-hmm. There's a ton of those out there. So what is the unique, I guess differentiator for Salesstream?
Sure. Yeah. So I think to answer that question, let me just give you just a quick background on how the company got started, sort of the genesis of it. So one of our other co-founders is a former owner of a staffing company. And, we were going back and forth, just talking shop with him and understanding, as a tech guy, I always try to understand what are the pain points that exist in his business and where can technology come in and solve it? And with the advent of generative AI, I'm pretty excited about that technology. And I was thinking, what are some practical applications where it could be used in the staffing environment? So naturally, the email outreach came up as one of the pain points for him. So there's a few issues that are currently present in current outreach. People rely primarily on templates. There's very little personalization. The new rules that have come down on spamming have really sort of put a clamp down on just blasting emails out. And the tools that exist now, I mean, they're pretty sophisticated. Bullhorn has Bullhorn automation, formerly Herefish, great tool. You can come up with some really great sequences, but problem is you're still at the end of the day are pushing out templates and template email, and you're just blasting emails out. And as good as your sequence can be, what good does it do if it doesn't get into the inbox of your target? So this seemed like a perfect solution to bring generative AI into the process and do two things. One, create emails that are truly personalized, custom crafted, truly unique. Each individual email is completely unique, but at the same time break some of those deliverability barriers that exist with current tools. So get into the inbox, and at the same time save time for the user. So how did they do so efficiently, right? Somebody can say, I can go ChatGPT and go back and forth and create one email that's going to be a great email, and that's true. But how do you do it at scale? What if you just want to click a couple of buttons, set up your campaign, click and forget it, and have it do all the hard work for you? So that's the sort of the short version of Salesstream.ai, and what we provide is the ability, if I was going to summarize it, is the ability to create personalized emails at scale while not having. You don't need a PhD to actually run the process. We can put it into the hands of every recruiter and get them open to other things they need to do actually, and not worry about.
Let me do a little commercial on how I found out about you guys. And it came from Jamie Schwartz, who's the president of NAPS. You probably know of him. You've seen him in the groups. And on an unrelated call, we're the platinum sponsor for this year at NAPS. So we were talking about that. And he was gushing over this new technology that Bullhorn, has kind of been using. It's available for him. And he had to show me. And he gave me the best demo as if he worked for the company. I said, you got to pay him a commission. And I'm like, I want to meet these guys. I love what they're doing. There's so much value in it. And he was showing me that he loves it so much for the reasons Marat just talked about. And I'm going to shut up and let him continue. But it was the open rates. And so it goes to what you're talking about. But he's just in awe. And he was throwing out crazy numbers I won't even throw out for an expectation. But what he's claiming his open rates are way more than what Salesstream will tell you to expect, but pretty incredible. So with that as the segue, back to you.
Yeah, no, Jamie has been a great proponent of our tool, and actually, his 3 companies are currently using the tool and getting great results. And I would say even more than the open rate, which is great, it's the engagement rate that really moves the needle. And I think that's where we can really differentiate ourselves. We're consistently beating their previous outreach, which averaged, the industry average 1 to maybe 2%. We're consistently beating that on the engagement rate. And the good news here is that we can even get better, because as the technology evolves, as more people are using it, we can learn, what sort of content moves the needle, and we can, sort of reuse the model, improve the model, and get emails better and better as they go out. So that's the exciting part.
Now, I will say from my end, so to give some perspective and context, and I think people watching this already know this as well, at least most of you guys do. So this, I train on this stuff, right? And this actually is part of my training as well, as far as personalizing your outreach, because it's one of my specialties is outbound prospecting, cold outreach, getting sales appointments in the entire sales process. Now, I can back that up as far as what you're saying as far as personalizing your outreach. It does significantly reflect your open rate. A lot of it is because you see the subject lines early aren't as important anymore. People look at that first line preview in their email client, right? And so if they do something that's personalized in this first, like maybe half of a sentence that they'll see, then and if it's a bit of a pattern interrupt, and also maybe evokes some curiosity or something along those lines, maybe they think, do I know this person? Then it'll get the open rate. For me personally, and I don't know if you guys do this or not, I like referencing a recommendation on LinkedIn. So, for example, if I'm reaching out to you, Marat, I may say, hey, I happen to read what Bob Johnson said about you, or ... And of course, Bob, he just left a recommendation for you less than a year ago, so you know him. I want you to think, does he know Bob? You open it, and then when you say something complimentary about them based on what their recommendation was, or whatever you found on their LinkedIn profile or what have you, then you tend to get a better reply, even if it's still a no. But just from the principle of reciprocity, they'll be a lot more likely to say, even if it's a no, it's I'd rather have a no than an ignore. So if I just get some sort of reply, then I could do something with that. So I think, I can, for those folks listening, I can 100% back that up, because I've experienced that on my own practice of my trainees. Personalizing your email gets higher open rate and a higher reply rate, even if it's negative. That's better than an ignore, right? Does that track with what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's a great point. Is it doesn't have to be necessarily even a positive response. Any response can be turned around, to the benefit of the recruiter, right? If they're not interested in something, you say, hey, well, you can. It's a starter, conversation starter. You can pick up the conversation from there. I think where we definitely break the mold is on the message itself. Again, even each message will have its sort of own tone. It's going to be written slightly differently. It's not going to look, look, I'm a recipient of a lot of recruiting email on the tech side, and I can just quickly, you see that, like you just said, you see that first line, hi Marat, and some of them even poorly written, and you're just like, ignore. If the email doesn't follow that same pattern, there's a much higher chance you will get more engagement on it. So I think our tool really shines in terms of that. And in addition to obviously, taking information from Bullhorn in terms of, CVs, profiles, notes, and stuff like that you can then use to personalize it. It's just the style of the message. You're able to also select the tone when you're creating the messages. You'll know your audience better than anybody else. You'll know, and you'll find the tone that resonates with them. Does it need to be formal? Does it need to be casual? Does it need to be humorous? So there's different ways for you also to quickly just impact, the tonality of the messages and have a better resonance with your audience. So yes, absolutely, it does ring true.
All right, now I will say. Now let me ask you this. So obviously your tool does it at scale. All right. So what we'll do for the folks who are watching this, we'll share. Actually, Marat's going to share a screen, and we're going to actually see it in action. But let's say someone's not ready for that yet, right? They just want to test this out, because I'm assuming from what you're saying, the opener line of "I hope this email finds you well" doesn't really work that well anymore. So, how would you personalize it? Not using the tool, but just if I were going to do it manually, either myself or our assistant or whatever, what would you do to personalize that email to get that higher open rate and get the higher response rate?
Yeah, I mean, so what I would do again, if we're talking a manual process, is kind of breaking out of the mold, right? Taking a little chance, not sounding overly formal and cold, like you just said. I hope this email finds you well. At that point, your eyes close and you just move on. Breaking the mold, maybe being a little more, more approachable, maybe a little less formal, just to kind of throw people off a little bit. And like you said, it's always good to just get a little, get a response, even if it's a negative, it still benefits you to get that engagement. So I just think breaking the mold, just in kind of breaking away from the typical templated emails that people are accustomed to seeing, I think it's already a great start. Just simply because you're going to stand out. But again, people still, but that brings another point is, yes, there will be recruiters that are great at writing emails, but how many can they do, right? It takes a lot of time to personalize and invest a lot of time into it. You can't do it. So what do people end up doing? They end up going to templates because there's no other way to do it. They're not going to sit there and write 100 emails a day. That's not feasible, and it's not a good use of their time. And so I think this is where our product will shine, is that you can achieve that custom crafted feel, that personalization, without investing the time, and still get the same utility out of it.
But what I'd say is, let's say they're not using the tool, right? So let's say let's say they just want to kind of test out this personalization thing to see what it's like. Because I know there's some utility in learning how to do it before you automate it. How would you approach personalized? Let's say you're reaching out to either myself or Neil or whoever, right, is your target market. Like, how would you go about personalizing that without automating it?
I mean, look, you would look at their CV, you'll pick something out from that. You look at the job description, see where those two meet, and mention that maybe right off the bat. That would be one way to go about it, I think. And then in addition to sort of, adding your own tone, right? Maybe a different tone that they're not used to seeing perhaps, but I think it would require that sort of level of effort, right? So really understanding their profile, maybe looking at their notes. If you're sticking just to their ATS, maybe it requires you to go out of it, maybe go to LinkedIn, see what they've published, or maybe there's a post that they got out there. You can utilize that as well. So there's different ways you can kind of gather that unique information that would be unique to just to that candidate, and then include it in your email.
Okay, now what about, okay, so in terms of the email itself, like what, obviously that first line is important because that's the first line preview, right? How much would you personalize it versus sending a template? Like, are you going to personalize the entire thing? You're going to personalize kind of the first part and then do your template? Like, how would you go about doing that, or how would you construct it?
Well, I think the personalization can start, I think, right from the subject line. Maybe stand out just using the subject line because that's what people see. One of the first things they see. And then if you can hit them with something in the first sentence, maybe you'll grab their attention, right? If you stay away from sort of generic greeting, maybe I think that will give you some runway to then hopefully for them to engage more with your content.
Okay. All right. So with that said, then let me ask you, what would you say would be a good personalization then? So if I'm reaching out to, let's say me, right? And you're going to mention something about like my LinkedIn profile or maybe like my company, what would you say would be, if I were trying to do it, not at scale, but let's say trying to knock them out quick? Because obviously in this business, you got to reach out to a lot of people. What would you say to somebody to help them maybe knock it out a little bit faster without getting to the scaling piece, which we'll look at your platform here in a second, but just for them to try this out? Like, how would they do it?
So you're saying without using any sort of tooling, just on their own efforts?
On their own, yeah.
I mean, that's a good question. It's tough for me to answer because I think that the reason we got into this is because that's not easy to do, what you just described. Yeah. It's not easy to knock them out in a quick way, right? It requires a lot of effort to personalize. It requires a lot of effort on research. It requires a lot of effort on actually, writing it and making sure it's unique. I don't think I don't see a shortcut on sort of manual approach, right? It requires a whole lot of effort, which is why people don't do it, in my opinion, right? It's just it's not feasible. I mean, you would, if you're not using any sort of tooling to help you accomplish this, it would be a tall task. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
David, and let's go under the hood, because I'm telling you, it answers a lot of your questions, and I know Marat's been dying to say exactly that, but that's why they created the tool. There's no easy way to do it unless you use a tool like this, and it's really cool.
All right, let's do it then. Well, in that case, let's share a screen. Marat, I know you shared a screen earlier, but it's not in the green room anymore. Can you reshare it? And then I'll bring it up on the screen. Awesome. Let's take a look at this thing. All right, here we go. Excellent. And because there's lots of old folks, veteran recruiters, and just really old people watch our show, they can't see we're shit. Excuse my French. So just make sure we're zoomed in a little bit.
How's this?
Old folks like Neil, I see just fine, but old folks like Neil, they can't see.
I would zoom in a little more.
Sure, I'll do that.
I'm just kidding, Neil. You're not that old. You don't look a day over 80.
I'm 60. I'm old. I'm getting old.
I'm zoomed in at 200%, guys. So it might look a little funky, but we'll see how that goes. Perfect.
All right, excellent. All right, let's do it.
All right. So the first workflow I want to show you is what we just discussed. You're a recruiter, you have a job rec, you need to reach out to your potential candidates. So let's do that. So I'll start over here in Bullhorn. I'll come to my jobs. All right, let's have a specific job in mind here. All right, here's my dentist in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I'll open that job rec. Okay, great. So at this point, I'm ready to create my email campaign.
So wait, and real quick, just so for the folks watching, so you're actually in Bullhorn right now.
Correct. Yeah, this is Bullhorn.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm in Bullhorn. I'm on this specific job, and at this point, I'm ready to create my email campaign. So I'm going to come here. We are implemented as a Chrome extension. This is Reach, and I'll click on Create a Campaign. All right. You'll notice we pull in the job name and make it our campaign name. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's say this is urgent. And we come with a couple of built-in goals for this campaign. And what is a goal? A goal is something that we're telling our AI engine, this is the goal of the communication. What are we trying to accomplish here? So we have some basic ones: get contact to schedule a phone call, get contact to visit a link, any email reply. And because I'm going to zoom out a little bit to show you. You can also define a new goal, and you can just supply your own goal. There could be something that we didn't cover, and you're just able to freely enter that in. But I'm going to stick with traditional. Let's get contact to schedule a phone call. We'll click next. And you'll notice we have this workflow already selected because we're starting a job, which is recruit for a job. We'll click next. We pull in the job description, and you can toggle between the published one or the internal one. And then you're free. This is your starting point for a job description. If there's any details that are missing, you can include them here. So in fact, I'm going to do that. Let's do this. I'll say competitive. Let's make it 300 per hour. Oops, that's not the $sign. Here we go. All right, so that's the detail I wanted to add. Let's say the rest of the job description looks good to me. I'll click next. All right, so what happened now is our AI engine went to work and tried to figure out what are we going to convey to our candidates? What is the main point we want to get across? And so it came up with 4 different ideas for us to use. And you notice it also picked up my latest detail that I've added here. And again, same concept. If none of these fit with what you're trying to convey, maybe you want to say it's a great opportunity for career advancement, you can go ahead and click define your strategy and just type it in. But I like this first one here. I'm going to select it. Let's click next. Okay, now it's time to select our contacts in Bullhorn. So we'll do that. You'll notice we go away and we load the candidates page for you in Bullhorn. I have a tear sheet ready to go for this from my dentist. Come on, IntelliSense. Here we go. All right, here's my dentist. Oh, sorry, let me clear my.
Oh, by the way, while you're doing that, Thomas Alacio had a question. Is it Salesstream.ai or Salesstream.io? It's Salesstream.ai. And also, Mr. Thomas Alacio also thinks Neil looks awesome for 80 years old. Funny about age. I'm 49, and
a little bit of a backhanded compliment.
Tell me I look so young, but I'm like, man, I feel so old. So I've got friends who are in their 30s, and to them, I'm old as dirt. Anyway,
you're 49 like a chick. You're 49 like a girl in online dating's 49. That's a dating profile age. You're clearly in your 50s.
Ouch, that hurts.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
That's rough. All right. Okay, so now that we've got our candidates here, our dentists, I'm going to go select them, and I'm going to return to Reach. And notice we pulled them in here. One thing I want to point out here is that we keep track of bounced emails or invalid emails so that you don't actually send the email out again. So you'll notice this person, bounced in the past. And so this could be a trigger to a recruiter, whoever is in charge of data, to go ahead and figure out what the right email is. All right, let's continue. I'll click next here. And now we're almost done. So now it's time to, put some just deliverability options. So number of attempts, which is how many automatic follow-ups would you like? We do up to 3. Duration, if you select multiple attempts, you want to run it, in a week, 2 weeks, or you can go shorter hours, to even a day. start immediately or pick a date in the future. SMS is coming, so I won't, in about a week here, so I won't talk about it yet, but same process for SMS. And the interesting one here is the tone. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Pick a tone that you think best resonates with your audience. Let's go with humorous. I always like to see what AI thinks is funny, and we'll just click here, prepare campaign. And we'll let it work. In order to save time, I already ran one earlier today, so let's go and take a look at one of those. Let's see here. How about this one here? All right, let's look at the messages that were generated. All right, so remember we chose humorous, so it starts with a funny line right at the top. This job is a tooth, and one other thing I want to point out is that each message is going to follow our pattern, right? Like you can see here, it picked up, our note about $300 per hour. It is going to drive you towards, the goal that we selected of getting on the phone. But each message is going to be different. So some of the options you have here, you can edit the message if you don't like something here. You can click regenerate text, and it'll get a whole new message for you. Let's take a look at another one of these here. All right. So again, same kind of thing, but it's trying to be funny. It's mentioning.
Can you read it? Can you guys read it, or do we want him to read it? David, are you able to read that?
Yeah, I can read it.
So for instance, here it starts with again, we chose humorous, so be careful which you choose, but you can see right away that no one's going to think this is a templated email. And again, the subject line is different. Each email is written in a different way. And again, it's driving towards the goal of scheduling a phone call, which is what we want. So that's how that works. So as you saw, sort of our design philosophy was, how do we get to this, implement a campaign in a matter of a few clicks? Like there's really no need to set up any kind of sequencing. You can just follow through the prompts and set it up in a matter of literally a couple of clicks. So that's the workflow. Once you're ready, you just click launch campaign and off it goes. So that's one workflow. If you guys have time, I can show another one that we have for marketing to candidates without a specific job in mind, but that's your call. Or maybe you have questions on this one.
Actually, I do have a question on that. So it's matching, or it's personalizing the outreach based on something about the candidate's profile, I imagine, right?
Sure.
Are you pulling that data from I pulling their LinkedIn profile, and that's where you're pulling that information from, or is that something else that you're using?
No, for now we're just exclusively pulling from Bullhorn itself. So anything, okay. any notes, profile information, CV that's on file in Bullhorn, we will pull that information and use that in personalizing. It's on our roadmap to reach out to other information providers like LinkedIn, like Apollo, going forward. So that's on our roadmap. But for now, it's just directly pulling data that exists in your ATS.
What about all the quick question? What about all the non-Bullhorn users, right? Everyone interested in this that's on a different ATS or their own system.
So what we've done so far is we create an integration for Bullhorn, and we create an integration for HubSpot. I know HubSpot is not in the staffing world, but again, similar concept. On our roadmap, we have Salesforce and Aviante as our next integration targets. And we're just, again, for us, it's not, the heavy lift technically is not the actual integration, is the sales and marketing motion, right? Mm-hmm. It's, just Bullhorn itself has been, taking all of our time, getting from clients, working on partnerships that, again, it would take us maybe a couple of weeks to put another integration in. It's who, how do we get that sales and marketing motion going in other ATS providers? But again, that's definitely on our sort of near-term roadmap for, to expand out that way.
Now, okay, so the platform itself, so you've integrated into Bullhorn. So is it a system where you're not actually, the Salesstream doesn't actually handle the sequences and the campaigns and the emails? It's done on that platform. You're just plugging in the messaging, and then Bullhorn itself using their own platform and sending the messages? Or are you doing that through your platform, kind of like an auto mass mailer?
That's a great question. So we integrate with Bullhorn for getting the data, right? Profile data, making sure we also, when we send a message, we leave a note, create a note on the candidate's profile. The other part of our integration is integrating with the client's Outlook or Gmail. So what happens is we also integrate with their Outlook or Gmail, and messages come out of their, from their, their own email basically. So that's another addition to, getting it being a deliverable email, right? It comes out of their email. They can look at it in their sent items, and they can see there. So that's another integration that, once we integrate with the client, we ask them, we do a Gmail or Outlook, and we integrate with their email provider and go from there. So that's how the actual send part gets done.
Okay. Now, what we should say is on the candidate side. Does this also, or is this set up to also work on the client or the prospecting side of things, business development side, or is it mainly for the recruiting?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so a lot of our clients have been clamoring for the biz dev workflows, which are very important to them. So I wish we were speaking next week, and maybe we should do it again. But we have a couple of workflows that are coming out in biz dev part of this, where you'll be able to, in the same kind of pattern, you'll be able to directly communicate with your clients. You'll be able to promote the company. Another workflow we're adding is the MPC workflow, the most placeable candidate workflow, where you'll be able to promote some of your VIPs, your rock stars within your candidate pool to your clients. So those two workflows, again, they're going to be similar to what I've shown you, where you kind of just follow the prompts along, put in the information that's needed, and it'll do all the hard work of generating all the emails out. So yeah, pretty excited about those. Again, the clients have been asking for it, and we're gonna deliver it for them.
On the MP side of things, I can see where that can really help, because I know for a normal NPC campaign, you take a candidate and then you package them as best you can, other bullet points and achievements, and you shine that pig up, and you reach out to 50, 100, 200, whatever the number it happens to be. But it's still, and it's not saying it's templated. You're putting the person in the best line, but it's not necessarily customized for each individual client. Versus, I can imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, let's say in Bullhorn, I'm keeping good data about my prospects. This prospect, I'll use the SAP example because that's what I used to recruit. So I might say, okay, this company running SAP, they have S/4HANA, they've got Hybris, they use FICO, they use Procure to Pay, they use Order to Cash, they do this, they do that, do this. And so now, if I've got all this information in my database already, then if I get an NPC candidate, maybe a solution architect, I can reach out to the individual companies and actually personalize it based on their own tech stack. Each presentation is actually slightly different based on the company itself. Is that so? When you're talking about NPC marketing, is it that at that level of detail where we can do that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that would be, that's kind of what we put in the stew, right? So there's different inputs. So it would be first of all, the client direction in terms of that. Second, we pull in the information that's sitting in the ATS on the client, like you just mentioned, their tech stack in particular, and it's the NPC profile as well. All that kind of gets thrown together, and out comes out a personalized email specific to that company's, in the case you mentioned, the tech stack. So it's I think it's a perfect use case of the technology. Absolutely.
The only problem would be is getting recruiters to actually put that into their ATS. Neil, you know this. We are notorious because we're gunslingers. So recruiters like us are notorious for being really bad on the data entry side of things, right? I know I always have been throughout my entire career. But if you can find a way to get that data in there, be consistent with it. Well, let me ask you this. So you mentioned that you're going to be pulling out data from other sources. So let's say you start implementing that. Would you be able to pull in things like a tech stack for different companies without having to rely on the recruiter having to enter that information in manually every time they talk to a prospect? Like, do you think that'd be possible?
I mean, yeah. So, we're definitely exploring, ability to plug in to outside, sources outside of the ATS and pull that information in. However, I think a more sort of low-hanging fruit here is there's companies that specialize in data enrichment on Bullhorn, building up your CV profiles for candidates. This could be a good opportunity for us to partner with companies that specialize in that specifically, because now we can show them, look, it's good to have good data in your system regardless whether we're present or not, but you really get to leverage it using this communication tool, right? You really get to see what is the value of me investing in getting my data much better in the system, getting my profiles filled out, getting my clients' profiles filled out. Well, now you can tell them, well, this is why. You can actually now use it at scale. You can personalize at scale. This is sort of a direct ROI on you investing in having good data. So I think we're actually exploring a couple of partnerships like that right now, where we can be sort of a compatible product where they will focus on enriching the data and we focus on using that data, leveraging it in the communication.
That's excellent. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I think that NPC thing could be a game changer. That's actually what I'd be most excited about is the NPC feature when it comes out. But with that said, however, I just looked at the clock and it is time for us to riggedy wrap it up. So with that said, if anybody's interested in getting in on Salesstream, either getting in on the beta test, and for you manly men, the alpha test, or if you just want a demo, you can go to here it is. Bear with me. Here we go. So you can go to Salesstream.ai, and to answer Tom's question, it's definitely not IO, it's AI, and also it's 2 S's in there in the middle because I went to a different
Correct.
site.
Yes, there's a single S company.
Yeah, so be careful. So Salesstream, so sales S and then stream.ai, or email Marat at Salesstream.ai, and he can get you set up with a demo. In fact, and to be honest with you, Marat, I'm going to be signing up for a demo myself. So
beautiful.
I want the extra special alpha demo, please.
Only alphas for you, David.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And with that said, I do want to mention a couple more things before we need to wrap, and I want Neil give his closing thoughts as well. But for anybody who is interested in going to the NAPS conference, it's their Ignite conference, October 27th to 29th in Arizona. And as it so happens, Boss is the boss sponsor of the conference, the platinum sponsor, and I will be there as well. And so if you want to meet myself or Neil in person, come on out. It's going to be a fantastic time. We'll laugh, we'll love, we'll party, we'll bond, all that kind of crap. But it's going to be awesome. You'll learn a lot. Come out to NAPS. So go to naps360.org to sign up. Neil, any last thoughts on your end, sir?
No, I mean, there's always some thoughts, but real fast, you got to get on the AI game technology. We know that. And NAPS, we should talk about every show. Best conference. I was a speaker there for a decade. Perfect for our audience. You need to go to one of these events, and this one's the most affordable, and it's got a couple hundred people. So it's amazing. It really is. So I highly recommend it. That's why we're sponsoring it, right? It's the only one we're sponsoring.
It's gonna be fan.
So
You're the boss sponsor there. Well, that said, Marat, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you. We'll probably do another round as well here in a bit once the platform is actually fully live. With that said, folks, thank you for watching. One more thing, this is the last week we're going to be broadcasting live into the Facebook groups, FYI. So moving forward, we're going to start getting everybody to watch on LinkedIn or YouTube. All right. Unfortunately, Facebook groups is deprecate. I can't ever say the word.
Deprecating.
Thank you. Deprecating. Thank you, Neil. Deprecating our ability to broadcast live in the Facebook groups. So just FYI, this is the last time for now on, we're going to be broadcasting live on LinkedIn and YouTube, or you can watch the replays. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marat. Thank you, Neil. And with everybody else, I will catch you guys on the flip. Bye, everybody.